Hello, I'm your host, Peter Komendowski, and welcome to Surviving Bad, where we explore stories of survival, hope, and inspiration. Today, we talk about intervention when a family is in crisis. Treatment and recovery can be miraculous. After, it's scary, hard, and confusing. Yet before treatment can be a reality, there must be an intervention. We look inside the shadows of the world of intervention, and I mean shadows in the most compassionate of ways, referring to the fear and trepidation loved ones may feel when faced with harsh forms of intervention from police and courts. It's for this reason we bring Daryl Rogers here today to shed some light, love, and motivation for you and your family if you are desperate to do something to help a loved one struggling with substance use disorder and mental health problems. Daryl, welcome to the show. Please share your story.
Hey, Peter. Thank you for having me today on your show. Really a pleasure to be here with you. So, my oldest son Chase died in a marijuana impaired wreck in 2014. He was 20 years old. He had struggled with addiction for about a year and a half prior to his death. And, um, you know, that's really what brought me into the line of work that I do today. The driver, just a little bit more about that incident. The driver ended up taking her own life 7 months after the wreck, which was very tragic. Just added more tragedy to an already really terrible situation. But for the first year or so was really that was really it was really a big adjustment for me. And losing a child is not something that you ever get over, but you can learn how to grow from it. And I think that it's, in a lot of ways, made me a stronger person and has led me into the work that I do now.
It is a sad story, and I noticed something that one of the reasons I wanted to bring you back here is because I've seen the resonance in people dealing with children and loved ones that have substance use disorder and mental health problems, and they feel like they've lost a child, and yet that child is still on earth, so to speak. They're still here, and they're usually at wit's end as to what to do. They're terrified. We know that they even feel shame that somehow they can't figure out what to do, and all this stuff is going on. When you brought your expertise to bear on this idea, how was it to first begin to talk to parents, for you coming from where you are, when they had something to work with and maybe didn't realize how special a role they had if they could conduct an intervention?
That's something that makes me a little bit different than most interventionists. I've not run across anyone else that comes from the background that I come from who's an interventionist. Most interventionists are in long-term recovery from drug or alcohol addiction. And I will say that I collaborate, I'm self-employed, but I collaborate with a group of other interventionists who are all self-employed. There's about 8 of us in our group. And I learn a lot from them, but I also have my own experience of being a parent in that situation that makes me a little bit unique in terms of interventions. Now, I started out working with parents in a peer support group. Facilitating this peer support group is called PAL, Parents of Addicted Loved Ones. Not something I started. I just uh, uh, volunteered to facilitate that peer support group. I did that for 8 years, and I learned a lot from that experience, and moved from that into family recovery coaching, which I still do, and then eventually into doing interventions. I will tell you that having a child in active addiction is parents who are going through that are already grieving. There are different types of grief. And I've experienced the grief on both sides. And in some respects, the grief of having a child in active addiction is more intense than the grief of losing a child to addiction. So, it's something I can relate to. I understand what the parents are going through, and so I'm able to give them, uh, advice and tips that, yeah, it's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing for them to take some of the action steps they need to take. It's scary. It's not that complicated. It's pretty simple, but it is a scary thing for them. So having someone by their side to kind of guide them through that, to give them the strength that they need is really important for them.
That's a great issue, and I want to talk more about that. We're going to take a short break. We come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Daryl. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss this.
Malware and bots and worms, oh my. The wild, wild web can be a scary and complex place. And as our digital world expands, so too are the threats. Watch out! Trojan horse. That's why at MediaCom, we take security very seriously and monitor our networks around the clock to stop threats before they can affect you. Not today, Rude Kid. Not all internet is created equal. We build ours to keep you connected and protected.
Did you know that watching MC22 is now easier than ever before? I know, it's crazy, right? Crazy, Well, all MediaCom customers can watch local programming anytime online. Go to mc22.net, click Watch MC22, and log in with your MediaCom account. Not a MediaCom cable subscriber? That's fine. MediaCom internet or phone subscribers can watch too. Your local programming leader, MC22, online at mc22.net/watch.
Welcome back to Surviving Bad. We're talking about intervention with Daryl Rogers and a unique opportunity, because interventions can happen in a lot of ways, from the most tragic, the loss of a loved one, to police involvement, to the court system. And yet, if a family can engage in intervention, they have the power of one of the most important energies on the face of the earth, and that's love, to bring to it. But that's not without the fear of failure and all the other scary things that happen. Daryl, let's talk about that a little bit, because it seems like the best thing for intervention would be the family, but my gosh, it's got to be the hardest way to do it too.
Yeah, I think most people have misconceptions about what an intervention really is. I think the show has done us some favors, the show intervention, but it's also done some harm because I think everyone is scared of an intervention because they think that it means you have to have this terrible confrontation. This is very just not nice with your addicted loved one. And that's not it at all. What it is really a controlled conversation with, and if you're bringing a professional interventionist into the picture, really the purpose of that is to have someone there outside the family who doesn't have all of the emotional attachments, who can help make good decisions, help mediate the conversation and keep the conversation under control. And so really, the purpose of the intervention is to, like I said, have that conversation with that person, help the family identify there's really a lot of work that goes into preparing for an intervention. And so a lot of planning ahead of time. And so that means that maybe you identify one of the family members or more who are engaging in some enabling behaviors, and you begin to sort of correct that and put some boundaries in place.
Now that's got to be difficult for families, because now we're looking at sort of the family dynamic and counseling, and of course the family has guilt and shame, but they get to focus it on another family member, and you're sort of redirecting some of that responsibility back in the family. That sounds like a really tough spot for you to be in.
Yeah, it can be. It can be, and a lot of times, families are a little bit resistant to hearing some of the things that they need to hear that are really tough. But it's a natural human behavior, I think, to have that fear, and to have that shame and guilt. It's just a matter of trying to come to grips with that and getting those emotions under control, managing those emotions so that the family can make good quality decisions. It's sort of like, I think about, like, I call it the fog of battle. If you're in the heat of a conflict, if you were a soldier in the heat of a conflict, the heat of a battle, there's chaos all around you. And that's what it's like being a family member of someone battling addiction. You have all this chaos going on all around you. And Now you have an interventionist coming in who is sort of like the general who's in the back, watching it all unfold, and he can see the whole battlefield, and he can bring some clarity to the situation so that it helps you make those good quality decisions around the addiction. And you have to remember that addiction does affect everyone in the entire family.
Now, when you meet with a family, is it like with one person first, a mom or dad, or are you always having meetings, the majority of meetings with the person that needs the intervention? I mean, again, the TV show makes it look like the intervention begins when you put everybody in the same room and all the chaos explodes.
Right.
What really
Right.
happens in these situations?
Yeah, usually there's at least 2 or 3 meetings with the family members uh, prior to having a meeting with the person battling addiction. And um, again, those meetings are really to help the family members come to grips with the role that they play in this, and what is their proper role in the recovery process. And then improving communications within the whole family and getting everyone on the same page in terms of what is addiction and what is the solution, what is the best solution. Because it's very important for the family to put up a unified front against the addiction, not against the addicted individual, but against the addiction that is driving that individual. And so you want everyone to be on the same page, and quite often there's some disagreement about the best way to go. So um, yeah, it's just very important to bring everyone together and to try to um, really come at this with the right approach.
We're going to take a little bit of time for a short break, and then I want to come back and talk about some of those approaches and what might happen. See y'all after the break. You don't want to miss this. This is some good stuff.
Listen, I love what I do. Helping businesses survive and grow is just a part of my daily routine. Doesn't matter if they're small or big or what they do. I provide them with the tools, technology, and support for them to realize their dreams and security to protect their dreams. So when my job is done, they know their business internet is up to speed and up for any challenge. At MediaCom Business, we're proud to be powering American business.
After the storm stops and the winds settle, we come together to rebuild what matters. MediaCom is right here with you, committed to restoring your service and offering vital communications access. We're here to assist in relief efforts and to support our community in whatever ways we can. Most importantly, helping you stay connected to what matters most: family, friends, safety.
Welcome back to Surviving Bad. I'm your host, Peter Komendowski, and we're with Daryl Rogers, a family recovery coach. Here's something fascinating that Daryl had pointed out to me, in that this whole idea of family coaching doesn't have to be like, in advance of a problem. It can actually help if the police are involved or courts are involved, because what it's doing, it's bringing the family together with the person that's having the biggest problems and creating a team for them to work with, as opposed to living alone on an island. This is a novel concept, and really one that I can understand why a coach would be so important. Tell us a little bit about how you integrate all of these different things that can happen at the same time or at different times to help a family heal and come together.
Yeah, it's really good, Peter. Good question. When it comes to interventions, there are a lot of different ways that an intervention can happen, and I do see a lot of cases where maybe we're working towards an intervention and the addicted loved one gets arrested. Could be a DWI, could be possession charge, something along those lines, and a lot of times that works out in our favor because it gives us some leverage. When the addicted person is in jail, That's not a pleasant experience for them. Usually they're ready to get out of there. And so they're calling the family members saying, hey, come get me, bail me out, bail me out. And we can use that as leverage to say, hey, yeah, we'll bail you out, but under one condition, you have to get in the car with Mr. Rogers and maybe in some cases get on an airplane and fly to a treatment program or drive to a treatment program. And, the thing is, I think a lot of people will tell you that they have to want to get better. Well, that's true, but they don't have to want to go to treatment. They just have to be willing to go to treatment. And once they're there, now you have an opportunity for the drugs to begin to get out of their system, for their thinking to begin to return to normal, for their brain to begin to heal. And there are a lot of times when they will, once they're in a treatment program, they will begin to plug in to the idea of recovery and begin to have the experience that they need to have to have the long-term recovery from their addiction. So I do hear people say a lot of times, but my child doesn't want to go to treatment. An intervention won't work. Well, that's why you have an intervention. If they wanted to go, we wouldn't need an intervention, But it's really about, like we said earlier, bringing the whole family together. It's about changing the way you communicate. I think a lot of people have the understanding or the idea that an intervention means we're going to shame the person into going to treatment, or we're going to make them feel really bad about their behavior. But the thing is that their behavior is a coping mechanism. Their drug use is a coping mechanism for something else that's going on inside of them usually. So, and shaming them will not work. And it's really about communicating with love and affection, but setting new healthy boundaries and communicating those boundaries in an effective way. And an intervention professional can help you communicate with them in a way that will resonate with them, that will get through to them. And even if they don't go on the day of the intervention, it tends to sort of lay the groundwork, sort of lay the groundwork or the foundation to their beginning to accept treatment as a way to begin to heal.
Yeah, I've rarely had a guest on the show that's been through recovery that said, boy, I really regret recovering from this problem. You just don't see that. And another point, I recently saw in the news that there was a report that said that even forcing people into treatment through the courts and stuff like that is more successful than doing nothing. And so imagine if you have a family and a support system with you, how successful the potential is. Now, what are the biggest stumbling blocks that you run into to make this process get started?
I wish I could guarantee people that if their loved one goes to treatment, that they'll get better and they'll recover. I can't do that. There's no guarantee, but I can guarantee you this: if there's not some change that takes place in the family system, and if there's no change that takes place in their loved one's life, their life is going to be cut short. And even if it's not cut short, which it more than likely would be, but even if it's not, they're not going to live the life that they're not going to live up anywhere close to their potential. They're going to live a life of just existing and just getting by, and a miserable existence. So, that's why I encourage people, look, I mean, it's worth it. It's worth taking a chance on having an intervention, on trying to get your loved one into treatment to give them the opportunity to recover. A lot of times people will have to go into treatment more than once to get everything they need to be able to enter a long-term recovery.
Well, we're going to take a break, and I'd like to invite you back to share some comments, insights, and inspiration for our viewers, things that you've learned in the process of not only experiencing the grief associated with these issues, but what you've learned from other people you've worked with. See you all after the break. You don't want to miss this.
If, like most people, you love your phone, like can't eat, can't sleep, can't not have it by your side.
My phone.
Or you'll be totally lost, kinda love, but you don't love your big cell phone bill or spotty reception. Check out Mediacom Mobile. Unbeatable nationwide coverage on a reliable 5G mobile network. Plus, we've got some really incredible prices too. Keep the phone you love, but love it even more. Mediacom Mobile.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Did you know that watching MC22 is now easier than ever before? I know, it's crazy, right? Crazy. Well, all Mediacom customers can watch local programming anytime online. Go to mc22.net, click Watch MC22, and log in with your Mediacom account. Not a Mediacom cable subscriber? That's fine. Mediacom internet or phone subscribers can watch too. Your local programming leader, MC22, online at mc22.net/watch.
Welcome back. Today on Surviving Bad, we gained an inside look on some real love for your challenge in the face of a crisis that demands an intervention. To help you better prepare to face that kind of a challenge, let's see what insights and inspiration Daryl has to share. Daryl, the floor is yours.
All right. Thanks, Peter. I really haven't touched on family recovery so much yet. And I think it's a really important thing that is overlooked a lot, that while a person is in treatment, you don't have to wait until then, but that's a great time, is like while a person battling addiction is in treatment, the family should be working on their own recovery program, on their own plan. And I think this is something that's overlooked a lot. There's not enough family recovery coaches out there. There's not enough people doing this kind of work. And it's very important because like I mentioned earlier, addiction affects the entire family. It creates dysfunction inside the family system. And if that addicted loved one goes to treatment, they get better, and then they come back into a family system that hasn't changed, that's a recipe for disaster. So I really encourage the family to work on their communication, work on setting and maintaining healthy boundaries, work on getting their emotions under control, managing their emotions. And I use a system I call the Family Recovery Roadmap, which is a roadmap that I've created that we go over every time I'm working with a family like this. I have a 1-year program that I've created, and right now I do month-to-month payments with people, and they can just come in and they can leave anytime they want to. But most people end up staying with me, until their loved one's out of treatment, sometimes up to a year or a little longer. And I continue to work with them on controlling those emotions so that they can hold their boundaries, so that they can not enable their loved ones, so that they can communicate in a loving and effective way. And that creates a situation where their loved one is more likely to recover long term, and the whole family will just gel better, and it helps create harmony in the family system again, where there was disharmony before.
So in a sense, you're healing people and you're helping people heal.
Yeah, helping them. I'm kind of leading them through a process that helps them, find the healing that they need. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, are they getting that? Are you getting sort of the quote unquote testimonials from people that warm your heart, that make you feel good about what you do?
I have had some really good testimonials, and that really means a lot to me. It makes me feel really good that I have been able to. I will just say that I believe that it's not me. God has worked through me. I've just been an instrument to allow Him to work through me to reach people, and to help them find the healing that they need. And yes, I've had some very, very heartwarming testimonials that keeps me going. It's why I do what I do. I'm 63 years old. My wife is retired. She looks at me sometimes like I get this feeling like she's wondering, like, when are you going to retire? But but I just love what I do so much. I don't know. I don't have any, there's no end in sight for me in terms of the work that I'm doing. I don't know when that'll happen. I'm sure it'll happen at the appropriate time, but I don't see any end coming anytime soon.
Well, I got a question for you, and it's a tricky one, so I apologize if you want to avoid it. If somebody like Daryl showed up in your life years ago, when you first faced some of these challenges, do you feel you would have, we would be your best worst enemy or your best friend in that situation? I mean, where would you be?
Well, I can tell you, we had an intervention for our son, Chase, and it was instrumental in getting him into treatment. But I would say I was probably a nightmare for that interventionist. I really gave him grief. And it was all based out of fear. We tend to try to control situations and people out of fear. And it's been hard for me to come to grips with this, but it's also created this moment, this transformation within me that is still taking place, of me being able to grow so much and to be able to look at myself and go, oh, these are my shortcomings. These are the things I need to work on. Yes, these are mistakes that I made. Learn from me. Don't make some of the same mistakes that I made.
Well, that's really inspiring in its own right. How do people get a hold of you? What's the best way for them to reach you?
They can go to my website, which is thefamilyrecoverycoach.com. They can also find me all over social media. I'm on Facebook. You can send me a private message there. I'm also on TikTok. TikTok, believe it or not, is my number one social media platform. But I'm on pretty much all social media platforms. They can also send an email to D Rogers, it's DRODGERS61 at hotmail.com.
Thank you so much for being here, Daryl. And also the reminder of the power of prayer, which even between us is an important step in the process of doing things like this to try and help people. And thank you all for joining us and watching today. Watch MediaCom MC22 and MC22.net for all of our episodes of Surviving Bad, where we explore stories of survival, hope, and inspiration. On MediaCom MC22, your local programming leader.